So that I'll be joined on the Star Sport podcast this week by Paul Bouchier, under 14 coach at Hamilton High School Bandon, Sarah Hayes, under 14 football manager for Bandon Hamilton High School as well, and Paddy Lordan, who coached Hamilton High School Bandon to the Simcox Cup this year, as well as a Curry-Vree semi-final as well. So I suppose I'll start with you, Paul. Like the rise in Gaelic games in Hamilton High School Bandon has really risen, especially this season.
It has, Max, yeah. And look, in fair, I think the schools always has high standards in this regard, even going back to the 70s. But I think we're getting good profile lately. We've had good victories. And I think a lot of that comes back actually to the ethos of the school, Match. Like I played hurling football myself with the Hammies here in the 80s, 1980s. And in lots of ways, I know things have changed, but a lot of things have still stayed quite the same. There's even school here, there's good work hard, aim high, help each other out, never give up, and that transcends the GA as well.
Exactly. So, and Sarah, being under 14 football manager this year for Hampton High School as well, I'd imagine you're privileged to be in the position with Gaelic games in the school.
Yeah, I'm very, I suppose, proud to be in charge of them and proud of all they've done this year. And I suppose just like reiterating what Paul said, before we go out, and I suppose it transcends to their schoolwork as well, we'd always say that like hard work beats talent when talent doesn't work. And yeah, of course, they're a talented group of lads, but they're really hard work as well. And yeah, there might be times when skill might get better than from the other teams, but they really grounded out throughout all their games this year.
And of course, Paddy, you led a successful team for Hamilton High School this year. Obviously, Simcox Cup champions for the first time in their history. Semi-final in the Curry-Vree as well, where you competed really well in the Munster competition. It's been a brilliant year for the school in that regard too.
Yeah, it's been unreal match, I suppose. Like it's kind of been something that we kind of targeted at the start of the year, like in other years we would have done very well in Carney, but with the Simcox then would have just fell off a cliff, like, and the attitude would have changed and everything like so. That's something that we really focused on this year. And, we obviously did so well in Carney to a point, but then we all know what happened in the semi-final. Just trying to pick the lads back up off that and everything, like, and to be honest, like it wasn't even that difficult of a job. Because they were such a motivated group and they knew that like there was more to do, that the Simcox was our target, I suppose. And, like just to actually get that reward for them then at the end of the year was just brilliant, like because of the effort that they've put in since August, really, like it's just been phenomenal, like.
Exactly. So, and I suppose, Paul, we were talking off air about the school thriving in both football and hurling in many ways as well. And as well as that, Sarah mentioned the school work as well. That is on the kids as well, I'm sure, on their shoulders. So, for the school to excel in football and hurling, obviously winning a title at under 14B level as well in hurling and under 14A in football, obviously the Simcox and Curry-Vree success. That's a testament really to the kids in the school that are working hard, I'd imagine.
Oh, 100%. A lot of these kids, they come here now specifically for the hurling and football. I think like under 14 hurling this year, we'd actually have 40 sessions, training sessions. So there's fierce work on in there, and they're training with their own clubs at home. And I think particularly in first year, like a lot of us get the lads to know each other because they're coming from different clubs and their timing might be out a little bit, and it's getting them to love their hurling, and put a pride back into their hurling. Then I suppose most of them play football as well, and the school and West Cork as well in general, it's building that pride and back into them again.
I suppose, Sarah, with the same question to you with the under 14 football. Did you expect kind of the success to roll on this season?
To be honest, no. So last year would have been my first year teaching in Hammies, and yeah, I knew like we had talented footballers, and like we won the Dr. Hurley Cup last year, and we also won it again this year. But like playing your city schools like Coláiste Column, who's nearly it's 3 times the size of Hammies, and you're playing Rochestown and Spirit Nave, who are double the size of Hammies, and like they've all a load of feeder city clubs feeding into it. So yeah, I would know the Hammies would have the talent, but no, this year they just really worked hard. And like, I suppose one thing as well, like they didn't take their talent for granted either. Like just because they were the star player in their club, didn't mean that they didn't need to train with the school. And like there was some lads, and I suppose as well we had a huge array as well. Like you'd some lads who'd hadn't played football before, or like would only be on the B team with their club, and they still came to every session as well. And it was getting that mix and getting them all together and getting them going to games was a great thing to see as well.
Exactly, and I suppose, Paddy, for yourself, managing the senior team this year with the Cardiff and obviously Simcox Cup as well. I know you were the furthest Cork school to get far in the Cardiff and win Simcox, which is an added bonus as well. Did you expect the success to come this season with Hammies?
Like I suppose I knew that they were a very talented group. Like there would have been a lot of lads. Paul, that's actually their Paul Boucher as well, was with me 2 years ago. We went under the 16 county. No, I suppose they wouldn't actually be on the age technically till next year, but we knew that they were a right good crop. And then, like, you know, there was a couple of lads older than that, who are very talented as well. So like I suppose I knew the talent that was there, but you know, like we've kind of made the joke about sense, like there's been far more talented teams that have went through Hammies, but it's really these lads' attitudes and stuff. So like I suppose, like I'm not going to say that we knew we were going to win the Simcox or anything, but we were definitely very confident of being competitive in both. You know, like we really targeted, like as soon as the draw came out, in both competitions, like we knew that they were both very tough draws, but we still were quietly confident, I suppose, that if we kind of looked after ourselves and had everything right for ourselves, that we'd be well able to compete. And like that's kind of, you know, what we're trying to do year on year is like compete at the highest level and expose people or expose the players and things to that as well. So like the confidence was definitely there, I suppose, on that side of things. But then again, as Sarah and Paul will know as well, you never have to build up these lads' confidence too much. They can be quite confident as it is. But yeah, so like I suppose we were confident we definitely could compete anyway.
And I suppose, Paul, what Paddy was saying there's a good crop of young players coming in Hammies, and the group did very well this year in those competitions. But even to win accolades in under 16, under 14 at schools level as well, that surely indicates that there is more talent coming down the pipeline.
Oh, there is, you know, and I suppose, look, success breeds success. You know, like I said, we people come to our school specifically for the hurling and football, you know. One first just said to me there recently, you know, I asked him why did you come to school, you know, he said, sort of like it's the dream, like, you know, there's one of the few schools that you can actually possibly win a double in football and hurling, and he wanted it, you know, and that people come to school specifically for that, you know, and I think that's great, you know, and it's great to see fellas come to school with dreams like that, you know, playing hurling up and down, football up and down constantly in their hands, you know what I mean? We'll be giving out of them sometimes, but it's great to see, you know, it's fantastic to see, you know. And then we see, like, you know, we get the transitioners to help us out, you know, the transitioners train our team, you know, they do all the, I suppose, warm-ups on the day, the warm-downs, you know. So everyone in the school's involved, really, you know, it isn't just ourselves here, everyone in the school's involved to make it happen, you know. And the lads in particular are the key men in that, you know.
And the attitude in the school is brilliant, Sarah. The obviously the commitment from the kids is absolutely brilliant as well. And the pull from clubs for the school as well. Like you look at the amount of clubs that's involved: Bandon, Newcestown, Valley Rovers, Kilbrittain is another club. Like there's magnificent clubs around, and that really adds to the success of Hammies, I'd imagine too.
Yeah, like I definitely would say that it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship. Like definitely, like the lads winning the double in school obviously helps the clubs, and like the clubs around are obviously helping us as well. But yeah, the attitude is just like spot on for them, really. And I suppose like getting on to Paul, or like going back to Paul's point there, like lads do come to school because they know that like I could get noticed here, or you know, like there's definitely lads I know like that were involved with the team with Paddy that like were kind of they got noticed on in the Simcox final or in the semi-final, and you know, like we've a few lads that would play football and hurling with Clon or even Ibeen, the odd few, and they come to Hammies because I suppose we have the hurling as well and the football, and I suppose it's more lucrative to them as well. Yeah.
Suppose the balance between hurling and football, Paddy, is absolutely brilliant in the school as well. And even to get the amount of success that you got this year, will that give the school a lot more confidence in the future years?
Yeah, like, you know, I suppose, like looking at it this year under 14, they did the double and that the Hurley Cup, and they won the two competitions there, under 16 hurling, the senior football, everything. Like, it's just been an unbelievable year, you know, like to be successful in pretty much every front, you know, like we're only missing under 16 football and the senior hurling for a clean sweep, like, so that's crazy to think about, like, you know. And like Sarah was even talking about it there earlier, like when you think of the size of some of the schools that we're coming up against, you know, we're kind of always fighting our corner in that regard, and like in lots of different ways as well, like even for facilities, like you were talking about the clubs and there, everything like earlier, like how good Bandon have been to us over the years, like, that's something that can't be, I suppose, underestimated either, because like there literally wouldn't be Hammy's team without Bandon GA, being honest about it, like, and then like the other clubs have helped us out as well, like Mary's in particular, and then Valleys would be good to us the odd times things as well, and then Newcestown for games. So like, it's we're kind of always fighting an uphill battle in ways, but like as you were saying there, like it is giving people such confidence now that like, like we've good structures in place, and like there's great, I suppose, communication between both, and like maybe the two Sarah and Paul, maybe to talk about that a bit more, that like you're kind of always you're always fighting your own corner, that we want football training 5 times a week, but obviously that's not realistic because you're trying to compete in A and both in a lot of competitions, or certainly B, and we're doing the better teams in B. So it's just trying to balance all that, and like kind of get that right. And like, as I say, there's somewhat a good understanding anyway. Like, it's not to say we don't get a small bit annoyed at each other, but overall, like, it's just great that everyone kind of pulls together. And like, I suppose with management and everything, like they've been fantastic as well to us. And like, in fairness, like if it's at all possible, management will allow it. Like, and that's been a huge help. Like, even like playing challenge games and things like that, has just been huge, because like, I suppose sometimes you're trying to pick a school's team and you're nearly going off what some of the lads are telling you, and then there's obviously club bias and all the rest of it. Like, so yeah, it kind of all comes together eventually. Like, but yeah, we're kind of always fighting a small bit of a battle. But yeah, like this year alone now will drive the thing on for the next 10 years, hopefully. Like,
Just in that comment there, Paddy, I see that they're like a lot of our lads now in school, like trying to get paid. They're nearly multiple or medal winners at that stage. You know what I mean? If you look at under 16s, that was their second count in 3 years. Because they had won it under 14 previously, and then so they're rightly primed by the time they get up to Paddy lads then in senior team. That they're used to winning, they're used to the work rate, they're used to the ambition. And success breeds success.
Yeah, and there's even some of the lads, like, let's say, I'll just take Jack as an example there. Like, he would have played in a Munster final, All Ireland final with Hammies. Then last year he would have played Harty hurling, and then won the Simcox this year, and played Carney in 3 years as well. Like, and for such a small school, like, it just kind of shows you, I suppose, like what we're actually achieving, for the size of the place.
I suppose, Sarah, like, is that the key component, as Paddy and Paul both mentioned there, communication between the coaches, between the teachers, everyone in the school as well? Is that kind of the key component in Hammy's success?
Yeah, it definitely would be a key component. And I suppose, like, one thing about Hammy's is just, it's a great community, and like, it's the interest that everyone has in everyone's teams. Like, our under 14s might be playing, but you might be in a 6th-year class and they'd be asking you, who are you playing here? What team are you playing? Asking about different layouts. And as Paddy said, a bit of club bias comes into play then as well. But no, it definitely is a community thing. And, even, like, I suppose because we're so small, we're so tight-knit as well. And like the staff helping each other out. And I suppose, like, it was tough there coming up to the end. I remember actually having a conversation with Paul and Carmel, trying to fix our semi-finals for the under 14. And I messaged and they said to Carmel, I was like, geez, we could have a final here now. And she was like, oh, geez, let us play the semi-final first. But it was even that idea that, like, we both had semi-finals to play and we both had finals to play, and they were both being played after Easter. But like, we needed to allow the lads to rest as well. And that they had obviously club competitions like Fela and all that going on as well. But no, we managed to work it together anyway and get the wins for both teams at the end of the year.
And even just to reiterate kind of there what Sarah was saying, like, yeah, the students are mad to know like how they get on and everything, but like, even if it is the first round of the under 14, or if it was, we'll say, the Carney semi-final, like the amount of teachers that would actually be there, fair enough, you might expect them to be at the bigger games, but like, if there's a match above on the pitch, like, you can be sure that there's at least 5 teachers there, and probably 5 more that shouldn't be there as well. But yeah, like, there's just that huge interest from the school, and like, even if it's on 10-15 minutes off the road, you're trying to like nearly like make sure you can get there and things like that. Like, so that definitely helps it as well to like see the interest and things there.
Yeah, that's that mentioned a lot, Paddy. Actually, like that. Outside the school, like, I know we good players. You mentioned their match coming to some different clubs, but we've mentors and coaches here from loads of clubs, like from Cork to Kerry to Limerick to the City, West North, like, and we're pulling all kind of mentors and coaches resources as well help us come to, strategies for our teams. That's often overlooked, and it's a big part of our setup here as well.
Absolutely. So, and yeah, it's a brilliant setup, obviously, in Hammies. And just one more thing, I have to mention this player, Paddy in particular, Jack O'Nan, obviously, Celtic Ross Star Sport Monthly winner recently in Celtic Ross Hotel. He was obviously a key player in your Simcox run and your Curly Vree run as well. What's he like to work with? Because like Jack has been in brilliant form over the last year or so.
Yeah, like Jack's outstanding, like, in terms of a captain and just a leader, like, but even just outside of that, like there isn't a person in the school who'd say a bad word about him, and that's other students, other teachers and everything, and like even with the younger lads and stuff, like obviously, as Paul was saying, that there's people coming in there in first year and they're like looking up to the older lads, and like this is the teams that they want to be on and everything, like, and even all the lads really, but like Jack in particular and one or two more, they've been really good with them kind of younger lads and stuff. But like just from even an organization point of view and everything, like, I could get on to Jack late in the evening and he'd have something sorted for the next morning. There's no problem there. And like just the respect, I suppose, that he has amongst the lads, like just made him as the perfect choice as captain, really. And like myself and John, when we sat down, like other names did come up, but like there was one clear person who it was going to be. And then like touching on the West Cork Sports Award, like we were delighted to get that. When we got the phone call from heading into Celtic Ross, it was a huge honour for, I suppose, us as a team, but then Jack as an individual to get the award, even though they did want to strongly reiterate that it was for the team, but even just the pride that Jack took in that to represent or to receive it on behalf of the team was massive, like. And I suppose it's just was really nice to be acknowledged, like, I was even joking, like looking back at the other people who've won it, like you're talking Olympians, Premier League soccer players, everything like that. But even be mentioned in the same breath as them, like, is madness, like, So yeah, we were really, really proud of that one. And like we had a great night below in Ross there a couple of weeks ago with Jack and his family, and Skib ladies were there as well. So yeah, no, it was a brilliant night.
Brilliant. And yeah, he is part of a brilliant group in Hammies at the moment, and obviously the whole school is thriving in Gaelic games at the moment. Paul, Sarah, Paddy, thanks for your time, and all the best wishes for Hammies in future years as well. Thanks for coming onto the podcast.
Thanks very much.
Thanks very much, Matthew. Thanks for having us on.